The Knights Templar, feared holy warriors of God. The year is 1095, and Pope Urban II calls for a crusade of Western Christians to take up arms and help the Byzantines recapture the Holy Land, which had fallen to Islamic expansion over the previous 3 centuries. By 1099, Jerusalem was back in Christian hands, and all was well until it wasn't. You see, while the Pope was happy to have reclaimed the Holy Land, he was also worried about the safety of the pilgrims on their way there. As the Order of Santiago grew in both wealth and power, envy of the riches of the Church grew as well, leading to several failed assassination attempts on the person of the Pope. Because while the Templars were a holy order, created to protect pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land, they were also a military asset that could be used in any number of conflicts. Fearing for his safety, Pope Innocent III moved the headquarters of the order from Jerusalem to Paris in 1150, where they remained for the next 200 years, though the Templars continued to fight in the Holy Land until 1187, when Saladin recaptured Jerusalem. After that, they focused on protecting pilgrims on their way to Rome. For while traveling through Muslim-controlled regions, many Christians were attacked, robbed, and killed. Hearing word of their plight, French nobleman Hugues de Payens met with King Baldwin II of Jerusalem in 1119, offering to protect the travelers on their way to the Holy Land by forming a new monastic order. Originally consisting of 9 of de Payens' relatives and friends, the king gave them lodgings in the Temple of Solomon, from where they got their name, and protect the travelers they did. Templars were typically mounted warriors, usually serving on 10-year renewable contracts. Unlike most European armies of the time, Templars were not mercenaries who fought for the highest bidder. They were soldiers of God, an elite fighting force whose primary objective was to defend the pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land. But soon their skills were being put to the test against the very Muslims they were supposed to be protecting pilgrims from. And though they were initially successful, over time, the Templars became a military order, taking on more and more enemies as they expanded in size and power. Eventually, they grew so large that rival European nobles were wary of their influence and would often hire Templars as bodyguards, a gig that paid very well. In fact, it was so lucrative that it turned some Templars, particularly those in administrative positions, into some of the wealthiest men in Europe. But while the Templars were making a name for themselves across the continent, back in the Holy Land, things were changing. But for how long? For more on the Knights Templar, stay tuned.